From the heart of the station of the nation, where the echoes of the past meet the rhythm of the present, this is Radio Sri Lanka. I'm Ramesh Piris, and you just stepped into Timeless Voices, your mid-morning sanctuary for the stories and sounds that shaped our lives. This morning, we aren't just talking about music. We are walking through 5 decades of showmanship. Imagine a young man in 1975 standing in the wings of Navarangahala, the Royal College Auditorium, launching the very first solo concert for the legendary Milton Malavarachi, backed by super golden chimes with Clarence Vijayawardena and Anusli Malavana. That night sparked a flame that has illuminated our stages for 50 years. From reuniting the jetliners and Amazing Grace to bringing the world's greatest, from Sir Cliff Richard to Lobo to our shores, my guest tonight is the man who turned Sri Lankan showbiz into a high art form. He's a producer, a promoter, a radio veteran, and above all, a guardian of the golden era. We are spending the next hour reliving half a century of music and memories with a true titan of the industry, a man the showbiz world fondly knows simply as DK. Please join me in a warm, melodic welcome for the man behind the memories, the one and only Damayantha Kuruppu.
Thank you very much for that very most encouraging introduction, I would say. Good morning to the listeners. So this is, I think, I have lost count of number of visits I have made to SLBC or this location, I would say. And so it's a long time, 50 years plus. It's a long time.
It's a rare and distinct pleasure to welcome a true son of this institution back to the studio. DK, you're no stranger to these microphones. Your voice is woven into the very fabric of the SLBC. It's an absolute honor to have you back in this familiar space, not just as a legendary promoter, but as a colleague and a friend. Welcome home.
Thank you.
The late 1960s was such a vibrant time for entertainment in Sri Lanka. Looking back at your youth during those years, what was it about the music and the local scene back then that first captured your imagination and convinced you to make this your life's work?
Well, I think the whole the episode, if you may call it that way, started way back in the, I would say 1967, probably 67, I can't remember the exact year. And that was the time that Surya Show was the main live concert that was happening in town. And fortunately for me, Mr. Sangabogoria, who brought Clarence and the Moonstones to Colombo from Ratnapura, was living just across the road from my house at Boteja Road, Timbrigasaya. And when we were playing cricket on the road, I remember seeing these 5 or 6 guys walking down to Mr. Korea's place, and you can hear the acoustic sounds. At the time, they were playing mostly box guitars. And even one of the bass guitars was, they call it the string guitars, where a string is attached to teacher's T-box or something, which creates the sound of a bass guitar. And that was the legendary Mr. Clarence Vijayawardena. I must have been, 12, 13 at the time. We were not allowed to come into the hall where they were rehearsing, and used to watch them going through and doing the initial songs, practicing songs like Mangunanda, whatever the songs, 4 songs that were on Mangunanda EP, which was recorded on Philips label. And of course, at the same time, he wrote, first song was actually for his first daughter, Ramani, and then subsequently Dilhani was about 2 or 3 years, and then they composed Dilhani. So basically, watching Clarence and the Moonstones inspired me to get totally involved in music, and I was determined to join a band, and I can't play any instruments, so I thought I will join as a singer and do my level best to get into the music field. So that is actually how I got involved. And that's the beginning of my musical career. So it goes back a long, long time. And then I'm an old boy of Ananda College. Across the road from Ananda College, there was this guy called Ajit Dahanayak. I think his brother is quite well known in SLBC. He was actor, cum singer called Mr. Maurice Dahanayak. And Ajit and Srikanth Dasnayak, who was to play drums for Super Golden Giants eventually, they were classmates. And then this was Piyadasa Sirisena Mawata, which is just around the corner from Ananda. And he asked me to come and try out, singing a few songs. And then we started the band, the Minks, in 1917. That was my first band, and that's how I got involved. And then eventually, a couple of years later, we changed the name of the band. Actually, not plus. It was joining of the Luke Gabadam, who was a royalist, and he was also sitting for his A-levels. I have actually finished my O-levels, and I was studying for London advanced levels. Because the idea was that for me to go across to the UK for higher studies. And Dilup, myself, Ajit, and we had a very professional drummer who joined us called John Rodrigo. Sadly, about a year back, he passed away. He also, I think, played for bands like Super Golden Chimes, Madara. And Dilup, of course, I think is a household name. He's one of the most creative keyboard players and a composer. Amazing talent. So we were eventually known as Lonesome Stone, and that's that Dilup wanted us known as. So then till 1975, until I went to UK for high studies, carried on as Lonesome Stone. We have done a couple of shows and a lot of functions, parties, few weddings. That's how it all started.
How did those youthful years of actually being on stage and in the rehearsal room shape your perspective on what makes a performance truly resonate with an audience?
You see, it's good that you asked the question, because at the time there were no CDs. The LPs were available, but we didn't have enough money to afford LPs. And the only way that we could listen to music was tuning to the SLBC English service. And bulk of these popular songs were played, we call as the morning show. Starts at 6 o'clock and goes on till 9 or 10. And I used to look forward to Wednesdays because Mr. Vijay Korea used to do the morning show on Wednesdays. And he used to play the new songs. And my uncle, who was actually from UK, he sent me a tape recorder. So I used to record the songs while it's being played on SLBC. That's how we managed to get hold of those songs. And then the thing is, like, we didn't have any computers. We had no cut and paste systems like what is available now. So it is basically now for the band to get familiar with the song. The singer has to go on singing and singing and singing over and over until the song is almost perfect. So invariably what happens is all the songs are in my memory. Unlike, we never saw so-called notation stands at the time, It was, sheer practice and over and unless you are, and we were all, I worked with a band who were like perfectionists. So, and some of the songs that we played, particularly with Diluk Abram, Don McLean, Emerson Lake Farmer, they were not easy at all. The notations were so advanced and complicated, but we did deliver those songs. At that time, Engelbert, Tom Jones, Beatles, they were right on top. And there weren't that many bands also. I think the most popular band, I think at the time, was probably Super Golden Chimes, Gabbo and the Breakaways. Of course, the Jetliners during that period, they were in Bombay, they were performing at the Taj. And then we had the Spitfires. Amazing Grace came much later. So they were like, they were, of course, pioneers. And the happening place was Akasakade. And that's where a lot of these bands used to play. And then another place where we used to have dances was the ballroom at the old Taj Samudra. And the hotel school itself was actually located in the same building. I think there was Intercontinental, and then, it was only a 5-star hotel. And of course, the Tapropan was quite popular. The Blue Leopard was a place where a lot of these, and then Coconut Grove at the Golf West Hotel. Come back to the Jetliners era eventually, subsequently, and then I'll tell you how exciting it was when I did the reunion concert in 2004.
Comparison to today's technology, it was a real hard graft.
Very hard, very hard.
Back then. So looking back at that incredible night in 1975 at Nabarangahala, you were a young promoter managing a sold-out crowd for Milton Malavarachi. First solo show, a moment of pure history. I've always been curious, as you stood there witnessing that massive success, did you already feel that your life's journey would become so deeply intertwined with the legacy and trend-setting spirit of Clarence Vijayawardena? What was it about the specific moment that convinced you this music was worth a lifetime of dedication?
Well, as I mentioned before, Surya show was the sort of regular show where Surya Children's Bookshop in Fort, Mr. Jalabikram Surya used to produce the EPs promoting music of the Moonstones, the Damayantha Brothers, Last Indians. And eventually he also, to coincide with that, he started the Surya show, and where those artists who were recorded on Surya Records were asked to perform. And I, having watched the concert, then what happened was Clarence started this series called Super Concert, and which was a Super Golden Chime show, and it was very popular. Then I spoke with Clarence. I said, Clarence, I also would like to do a show. And he said, look, super concert is doing quite well. Victor Ratnayaka is doing exceptionally with his Sa. And Clarence had just started to compose songs for Milton at the time. And then Clarence says, why don't we do something for Milton? So then Clarence spoke to Milton. I did not know him that well. And he said, look, yeah, I will come forward, but only thing for I'll sing 10 songs because I'm not fantastic stage personality. I stand still and, he's known as the local Jim Reeves. And he's got a fantastic voice and some amazing songs to blend that with that voice. So then we looked at, there was no BMS yet. We only had two venues, Ramakrishna Vallabhatha or the Navarangala at the Royal College. So we decided to have it at the Navarangala. I am still studying for my London advanced levels and I had no money at all to do it. I spoke with my mother. So I asked Clarence how much will it cost. He said, look, just find money. The hall cost us at that time 2,000 rupees. All in all, he said it'll come to about 12,000 to 15,000 to do the complete show. And Clarence said, I don't want a red cent. I will get my band also perform free. You don't have to pay anything to Milton. And I will publish a souvenir from the ads. I'll cover up whatever the expenses. We just pay for sound. So we communicated with Kavu. He had the best sound system at the time. So we used his sounds and there was no proper lighting. And there was just a white screen and, like the good old days in the cinemas before, the ads, slides. So, and that's, Clarence created a couple of sites to blend with the theme of some of the songs that he sang. The thing is like now, I went to Mr. Jalal Vikram Surya. I said, Mr. Vikram Surya, can you help me with the concert selling of tickets? He said, let's do you can keep the box plan here. I'll look after the sale of tickets. So the show was, I think, on a Saturday, I think. And so we had the tickets on sale. And also, Surya's show was aired on SLBC on a regular basis on Thursdays at 9:30 in the night. And he plugged in a show as well. And actually, in the morning, on the day of the concert, we still had tickets to sell. So we thought it was not going to be a packed house. But we started the show at 7. My gosh, the number of people that turned up. The most difficult thing was, the adjacent to Royal College is the Thurston. And people were climbing over the wall, jumping in. And eventually me as the promoter, I had to sit on one of the steps in the hall. I didn't even have a place to sit. The show was a great success. And then this was, I think, in August. And then just 2-3 weeks after that, I had to leave Sri Lanka. I went to London for my higher studies. And then Clarence did write to me and say, Damayantha, we have a lot of requests for the concert to take it to Gaul, Kandy, various places. I said, Clara, if you want to, you can do so. No, you started, let it be, and I am busy with my work. And so it was, I think again, you see, Clarence was a massive inspiration when it comes to my music. And even with the showbiz, it is the Clarence who laid the foundation. So my entire musical thing, actually, if I have achieved anything, the credit should go to Clarence Vijayawardena for supporting me through and through.
You have chosen a song today. It's a piece that carries a beautiful, shimmering quality. What many of us fondly call that Clarence magic. The song is Manique. DK, this song holds a very special place in your discography. Not only as a standout track for your debut single CD, but as a deeply personal tribute to your wife, Damayantha. You chose to collaborate with the late Teja Iddamalgoda, a man who understood the Clarence magic better than most. To craft the lyrics and melody, it suggests that for Damayantha, you wanted nothing less than the timeless golden standard of music. With utmost respect, DK, could you tell us what it meant to you to immortalize your feelings for your wife through this specific song? In a busy life of a promoter, how important was it for you to step into the studio and record this particular message for her?
I knew Teja and his office was very close to my house, and got to know Teja through Tushar Kuruppu, who was the keyboard player in my band Vision, and in fact it was the band that provided the backing tracks. And I wanted to produce a CD in memory of Clarence, and I titled D.S. Suhadani, which means friend. So I told Teja, can you compose a few songs for me, and if you can, do something special for my wife. He wrote the lyrics, and then he gave the basic arrangements, and then Tushar and Lasanta got together and did the rest of it. See, the style of that particular song is very much similar to the music that was created by Clarence. So, and also being an ardent fan and a follower, I'm not saying that I imitate Clarence as such, but there's a certain style that Clarence adapted, and it sort of comes natural to me when I sing certain Sinhalese songs, when I sing his originals. So, Manike also, I guess it sounds somewhat similar to the style of Clarence's music.
It's a masterclass in collaboration featuring the evocative lyrics and melody of late Teja Idamagoda, brought to life through the sophisticated musical arrangements of Tushara Kuruvita and Lasantha Karyavasam. If you're just joining us, welcome to Timeless Voices. I'm Ramesh Piris, and my special guest in the studio today is a man whose name is synonymous with the very pulse of Sri Lankan entertainment. He's a veteran entertainer, the visionary behind DK Promotions, and a true custodian of our musical heritage, Damayantha Kuruppu. Milton Malawarachi, Clarence Vijayawardena, Minon Fernando, Desmond De Silva, Sunil Pereira, Ronnie Leach, names that defined an era. Beyond their hits, they possessed a unique aura that separated them from the rest. Looking back at the history of DK Promotions, how did you bridge the gap between their artistic demands and your professional standards to build a foundation of trust that has lasted decades?
You mentioned the word professional. You see, when you work with professional singers, it's so much easier, if I may put it that way, to put a show together. Although they may have not produced shows, or they have the experience in performing in front of audiences at dances and various places. And on stage, for them to come on stage and sing was nothing. So that was a real plus point. And the rest of it is basically like when I do a show, I always work on a theme. And when I say, if I'm doing something with Desmond, I discuss with Desmond what the theme should be. And even the title of the concert, it's not on my own that we decide on the title. It's always collective decisions. And I don't get involved in selecting the songs. So it's their forte. I basically organize the marketing part of it, and then the finances, and make sure that we get the maximum value for money for the audience. And that has been the success of DK Promotions, my showbiz company. It's known as DK Promotions. Also, we have gone one step higher by producing some of the concerts on DVDs, and of course a few audio CDs which are my own products.
The calculated risk of bringing icons like Sir Cliff Richard, Daniel O'Donnell, Lobo and Tony Christie transform the local industry's DNA. Beyond the balance sheet, do you feel, DK, the enduring legacy of those shows justifies the intense personal and logistical tax required to stage them?
When you mean by tax?
In the sense, like the effort that has gone through the financial involvements and the organizational, like the challenges.
Well, let me put it this way. Like when I first foreign act was Lobo. That was in 2004. I did my first after the super concert with Milton Malvarachi in 75. From London, I returned in 82, and I'm a hotelier by profession. I was at Dolphin first, and then Corga and Zikadu and Lodge Havarana, and eventually got to Colombo. And then in 1999, I wanted to again do something for Clarence, and we did a tribute to Clarence, and then we did the 70s, the Millennium, it was the Millennium. And then eventually, having done about 3 or 4 songs, I did the reunion of the Jetliners, which was more or less like getting down an overseas band, because they were all living in Australia, UK, you had to get them together. So then buying airline tickets and it was like organizing a foreign show, I would say. And then a promoter from the US contacted me and said they have got hold of my number. Anyway, and they said that Lobo was touring Asia. And so they quoted a figure, of course, in US dollars. It wasn't that expensive, so I said, give it a go. But what happened to actually at the same time, I was offered George Benson. And I love George Benson because I'm actually a great lover of jazz music. I like soul, jazz, that's my favorite. Western music, actually, if you ask me, not very commercialized music that I record. So, but George Benson was expensive, $80,000 at that time. In 2000, a lot of money. And also, they give you a thing called technical rider. We have to make sure all what they require in terms of the quality sound, the venues, otherwise they won't come.
A list of criteria.
Yeah. So, and Lobo, then I met Mr. Sumal Per, chairman of Access. I went to him looking for a sponsor for George Benson. He said, I went with Mr. Vijay actually. He knew him, I did not know him. And he said, there's somebody getting down Lobo. I said, then Dr. Correa said, hey, the guy is here. So then he said, I'll take the Lobo thing and you coordinate the whole thing. And we had it actually at Water's Edge. So basically, like Lobo was just him, his son was the drummer and manager. And it was good exposure, not too comprehensive. And but Cliff Richard was a big show. I mean, we had a crew of 25 members, and in 2007, and at SLECC, and we had nearly 5,000 people. It was a packed house show, and the technical rider was very comprehensive. We didn't actually have proper sound that they wanted, and except for the mixer, everything else was came in a container by air freight, and I think I had to pay £24,000 or something there as freight charges, and 25 business class tickets. So it was very expensive, but tremendous experience and exposure. I think if you are looking at doing this sort of concerts, massive investment, the artist fee plus the taxes, and there are so many approvals to be obtained, it's not easy. But it was a kind of a, I don't think we made anything from the show. But for me, it's like, I don't think Sri Lanka has ever seen a living legend like Sir Cliff live in concert. Like we have seen Engelbert, but then again, you can't. Engelbert and Cliff are different personalities. It's an amazing experience. You have to have a massive capital, but the thing is, you should not be too greedy, and then if you go with the intention of making a big profit, then I think you are in the wrong field and you can't make much headway.
When you consider venue at that time, they were not designed for this type of concerts at all, and unlike today.
What we are lacking at the moment is proper venues for concerts. To break even on an investment which is today, you can't get any artist for less than 100,000 USD, and that's a lot of money. When I did Sir Cliff Richard, the dollar was against rupee was 118, but today at 300 plus, it's much more. And then the airline tickets have gone up in price. Everything is very expensive, and the venue charges have gone up. So it's you have to have massive budget. So it is very challenging. Only if it is a guy who's got so much of money to just throw about thing. But then again, you have to have the love for music. You can't just bring down some artist with the intention of it's like a business, to make a quick buck. You will not succeed.
DK, your next choice takes us to the world stage with the legendary Elvis classic, It's Now or Never. Having brought so many international icons to Sri Lankan shores, your standards are incredibly high. Yet, I must say, you have done tremendous justice to this cover. Since Elvis is one of your all-time favorites and the rest of the world's too, there's a certain special quality in your delivery. When you stepped into the booth for this one, what were you trying to capture that perhaps other versions miss?
It's Now or Never. It's actually it's a cover. Basically, like there are a couple of songs that I have done my own arrangements, but this is actually a straightforward cover version. Because you see, Elvis Presley songs, I mean, there are certain singers that one should not deviate from the original, because I think you are not doing justice by doing that. So you have to respect. In fact, I mean, although Elvis passed away in 77, and I was in England at the time, I did bring sounded like Elvis Presley, and I did Platters. I think it was 2010, or I can't remember the year. It was at the Galadari ballroom. This guy actually, I forget his name, but he was performing at the Vegas, and he looks exactly like Elvis Presley. I don't think he was able to create the real Elvis tone, but the thing is, like, I can say, look, I have done tribute to Elvis as well. It's Now or Never. It's a song that you can sing from the heart, where it's got a lot of feelings. And actually, the thing is, singing is an art, right? And when you sing, you must get you have to listen to the song maybe 100 times and get the exact phrasing, what we call as, like the pronunciation of certain words. And I think one has to be fluent in that particular language, because this is where Sri Lanka, there are so many bands that are doing a lot of English covers, but the phrasing is not there. And if you don't pronounce it properly, then what happens is you may sound like going flat, because the end notes, like it's how you pronounce it, and so to get that, you have to go on listening to the song over and over and over. So I've been listening to these Western songs from the age of 12, 13, so it's been like it's in my veins. So I guess when I sing It's Now or Never, it's sort of thing I have. And also with the modern technology, you can record the whole song at once. You can do the chorus, the verse, and then do the cut and paste. But I avoid doing that actually, because otherwise, I don't get the feel that I'm singing. So I record the whole thing, and if there's any mistake, I just do the correction on that particular tone. But this one, actually, it was just 2 takes, and there was no corrections to be done.
For this track, the musical direction is once again in the capable hands of Lasantha Kuruppu.
Yeah.
But this time, he's joined by your very own band, Vision.
Yes. Vision is some band that actually we formed the band in 2008, and the person responsible for putting Vision together was none other than Norisa Elgunathelaka. She realized that I have the potential to sing certain English covers and the rest of it, and she connected me with Tushar and Lasantha. So we got together, and then When you do something, in management, there is always a vision and a mission statement. So this, I thought that I want the band to be, somewhere eventually. To achieve that, you have to have a vision. So I named the band Vision. So that's how the name came about. But I think we've done quite well. Some of the concerts that I have done, they have been the backing band. And although I'm not directly involved, the boys from the band have been covering the Dream stuff for the last, except for the last couple of years, for almost 8 years. So basically, we have gone places, and I think band is tremendously successful.
It's now or never. Come hold me tight. Kiss me, my darling. Be mine tonight. Tomorrow will be too late. It's now or never. My love away. When I first saw you, with a smile so tender, my heart was captured, my soul surrendered. I'd spent a lifetime waiting for the right time. Now that you're near, the time is here at last. It's now or never. Come hold me tight. Kiss me, my darling. Be mine tonight. Tomorrow will be too late. It's now or never. My love will wait. Just like a willow, we would cry no shame if we lost to love and sweet devotion. Your lips excite me, let your arms invite me. For who knows when we'll meet again this way. It's now or never. Come hold me tight. Kiss me, my darling. Be mine tonight. Tomorrow will be too late. It's now or never. My love will wait. It's now or never. My love will wait. It's now or never. My love won't wait. It's now or never. My love will wait.
DK, you hosted The Beat Goes On SLBC for 100 episodes. How did your time behind the microphone as a broadcaster change the way you eventually produced and compared your live stage shows?
But The Beat Goes On. See, what happened was when I returned in 1982 from London, I brought a whole lot of records with me, almost about 100. And then I found that the type of music that I wanted to promote, SLBC didn't have the material. Not only SLBC, even today, some of the popular radio channels don't play the music that I featured on The Beat Goes On. It gave audience an opportunity to hear reggae, jazz, and I used to play new songs, mostly from the R&B charts. And so the people who were fond of listening to R&B charts used to tune, and this is actually a pre-recorded show. I had on Wednesdays at 6:30. It's a half-an-hour program. and we used to play about just to introduce the song. And I was lucky that I had Shelley Balan, who was the first announcer, and Mrs. Mahesh Perra was here, and there was one Mrs. Williams. She was the director in charge. Yeah, we did 99 episodes. The 100th one I couldn't air because the 83 unfortunate incident took place, and then we were not allowed to come into the building. And so 99 shows. I think I featured Whitney Houston, quite a few artists who are popular today on air for the first time here. And also I think the Studio SGX stereo transmission had just started, and that was one of the first programs that went on air.
Must have been a wonderful experience.
Tremendous, yeah, great.
It's been exactly a year since that landmark 50th anniversary celebration at the BMICH. Looking back at that night on May 17th, when you watched Ranil Malavarachi and Lakshita Suryasena take the stage to perform their father's legendary hits, did you feel a sense of fulfillment? In that moment, did it feel as though you had successfully bridged the generational gap in Sri Lankan music?
Yes, I did. Actually, the lineup for the concert was based on the 75, my very first concert, and also over the years, the artists whom I have worked with, whom I have the highest respect. So, Pranil, I flew him down from Melbourne. He lives in Australia. And I told him, look, the 10 songs that your father sang in 75, you got to sing. And my band Vision was the backing band. 75, of course, it was Clarence and Super Golden Chimes. And Lakshita I featured because one artist that I wanted to do a concert and I couldn't was Priya Sirisena. I liked some of his songs. So we asked Lakshita and his sister to come and sing a few songs, 5 or 6 songs. And then, of course, the Bhartiya Santosh. In fact, I think Bhartiya Santosh, they were singing on tracks when I put them on stage in 1999 on 70s The Millennium. So they did the Millennium music, and it was staged at the Mahalakama Youth Centre and then subsequently repeated at the BMIC. So over the years, people like Dalreen, Minon, unfortunately, Sunil was not left, but then Ronnie, they are all gone. So all these, I remembered all of them. In fact, I played one of Desmond Sumiri Pane, the video recording of it. So, it sort of made that connection, and communicating. Desmond was a fantastic communicator, amazing stage personality. And the second half was totally dedicated to Clarence. And it was like 1.5 hours of Clarence's songs performed by Rukshan and Annesley, Chandral, 3 members of the Super Golden Chimes, and supported by my band. So I would say that I was able to bring together most of the artists whom I have worked with on that particular night.
We move now to a song that is an absolute cornerstone of music history. The legendary Yesterday by the Fab Four. I must admit, DK, the Beatles have always been one of my personal favorite groups. So hearing your own rendition of this classic is a particular treat for me. For this track, you brought in your own band Vision with the musical direction of Lasantha Karyavasan. This recording takes us back to those early fledgling days when you were first making your mark as a promoter and entertainer. DK, as someone who has seen the landscape of the entertainment industry change so drastically over the years, what is it like to look back at your younger self through the lens of this song? When you hear the sound of Vision backing you on this Beatles tribute, is there a part of you that is still longing for that yesterday? Or does it simply remind you of how far you've come?
You see, Beatles is my all-time favorite band. And some of the Beatles songs are like, they are group songs. And when you want to do a solo, there aren't that many songs that one can select. Can do Let It Be, Yesterday, and Hey Jude. Again, that involves a lot of chorus singing. So I picked Yesterday, and I told Lasantha we'll add a bit of color to the song. I didn't want to distort or do any variations. It sounds different, and I think it makes the sound more exciting. And also, you see, I can't scream and shout. My voice is somewhat like our mid-range. Okay, you have to sing according to your strengths and weaknesses. So Yesterday is a song that I like very much because it's one thing to start with is the Beatles and a beautiful arrangement. It's a song that will never die. And I thought singing Yesterday out of all the Beatles songs is something that will go down well. Yesterday All my troubles seem so far away. Now it looks as though they're here to stay. Oh, I believe in yesterday. Suddenly, I'm not half the man I used to be. There's a shadow hanging over me. Oh, yesterday came suddenly. Why she had to go, I don't know. She wouldn't say. I said something wrong. Now I long for yesterday. Yesterday, love was such an easy game to play. Now I need a place to hide away. Oh, I believe in yesterday. Why she had to go, I don't know. She wouldn't say. I said something wrong. Now I long for yesterday. Yesterday, love was such an easy game to play. Now I need a place to hide away. Oh, I believe in yesterday.
If you're just joining us, welcome to Timeless Voices. I'm Ramesh Piris, and my special guest in the studio today is a man whose name is synonymous with the very parts of Sri Lankan entertainment, Damayantha Kuruppu. It is a half-century of history, from the local Clarence magic to international stages with global legends. We are honored to have him with us today. You compare a musical show to a movie, emphasizing that the ending must be strong. But so many of the icons you started with, Clarence, Milton, and more recently, dear friends like Sunil Pereira and Ronnie Leach, are no longer with us to take a bow. When the house lights go down and the BMICH goes quiet after a big show, do you feel a sense of loneliness in being one of the last few guardians of that golden era?
I used to produce about 6 to 8 shows a year. And of course, COVID period, there was nothing happening. It lasted almost 4 years. After COVID, when I started again, we lost Sunil Pereira during COVID. Then the sudden demise of Desmond. It was one day I couldn't control my emotion. When I got a call from his wife from Australia, Phyllis, to give the sad news. And I broke down because it was too much to bear. Because I produced 3 or 4 concerts for him. I did his 50th, then I did his 75th birthday, and very successful Rhythms of Sri Lanka with the Marians and blend of Sri Lankan music. You see, watching a concert is like watching a movie. The whole story, and then the finale of a movie is not good. Then you will leave the auditorium with sour feelings. So likewise, when you do a concert, we had people like Desmond, Ronnie, Sunil, who could cover up all the shortcomings, whatever, if they were, with this amazing finale. So without them, actually, there's a massive vacuum. And this is one of the reasons why I have slowed down a lot. And I just concentrate on just one show a year at maximum. Next year, I'm actually trying to do something very special for, and Slim Alvana, he's going to be 80. I've already booked the BMICH. Birthday's around the corner, 13th of June. He is probably the only living legend we have, unfortunately or fortunately. It's the finale, as you said, it's very important.
You mentioned that retirement isn't an option. For the next generation of promoters listening to Radio Sri Lanka today. What is the one golden rule of showbiz that hasn't changed since 1975?
It's a difficult question to answer because the entire music entertainment field has changed a lot. You see, the people whom I catered to until recently are now gradually, age is catching up on them. And the newer, younger generation, the music trend in Sri Lanka has changed as well. So really, I find that the demand for the type of concept that I develop is gradually diminishing, and also production cost has gone up tremendously, and it's no longer a viable field to be in. So I think this is why I want to sort of call it a day, probably next year or the year after, and I will concentrate on working with my band. I enjoy what I'm doing. I sing Clarence's songs and my originals, and of course the covers. I have produced up to now 6 English CDs. They go under a series called Timeless Hits, Volume 1 to 6, and I may probably do another one before I call it a day. And single, I think I have the Sudane first one. Then I did a single CD called, Clarence has composed so many songs, and now some of the songs have not been recorded before. So I picked some of those songs and produced a CD called Clarence Sangonagi. I got the songs from his wife, and then also I did a Melva Damayantha, produced an amazing LP. You don't believe that the CD took 1 year to complete, because we went on the old 60s era, because there's no computer shortcuts. I had to sing over and over and over to make it perfect. So it basically took nearly 1 year to do the 16 tracks. It's called Hadabada Geetha, where I did a duet with Paul Fernandez. They call it the Vada Baila, like Baila Saje, a patriotic song that I really want to do, because I love Sunil Santha, and I was fortunate that Ivo Dennis was still around. We did My Me Margareta. I always like to have a story behind a song, and I have dedicated songs for my wife, my 2 sons, my father, mother, my school friends, you name it. I mean, I covered all fields. And then Suvadane itself is a beautiful tribute song for Clarence, and visually it's really nice. A lot of graphics of Clarence. And eventually calling him, let's be friends in the next generation or next birth as well, which I think is the biggest tribute that I can pay to a great legend who I am sitting here and talking about music because of him.
A lot of humility and graciousness.
Definitely,
there.
yeah.
You're going to find very interesting the next question, what I'm about to ask you. From the Fab Four of Liverpool, we move to the undisputed king of British pop, Sir Cliff Richard. The song is one of his spirited early hits, Yariva. But for us in Sri Lanka, this track is incredibly poignant. It takes us back to 2007, a year that many music lovers will never forget, when Sir Cliff graced our shores for a historic concert. DK, you weren't just a fan in the audience, you were the architect of that visit, and in a moment of immense professional pride, it was your very own band, Vision, providing the musical backdrop for the legend himself. Now, to stand on the same stage and harmonize with a knight of the realm is a rare pinnacle in any career. DK, as we listen to Yariva, what are the most treasured memories you carry from meeting and working alongside Sir Cliff Richard? Was there a particular moment behind the scenes that truly captured the essence of the legend for you?
Yariva actually, it's not so popular in Sri Lanka because I think, SLBC probably play it. I don't know, I'm not too sure.
We do play it from time to time.
Yeah, time to time. It's different when you talk about Sir Cliff. Everybody refers to Summer Holiday, Lucky Lips, and Young Ones, that kind of thing. So I have recorded those as well as covers. But Yariva is unique. It's something about Spain and whatever. And it's a song that when you sing, I mentioned before, this singing is an art and it comes from your heart. It has to. Yariva is sort of, it brings, it's like, communicating on a subject. In fact, there is a bit of, where he said, that it just came naturally because Cliff has done it the same way. So this is why I actually selected Yariva as my Sir Cliff Richard's song. But talking about Cliff Richard now, I'll give some information a lot of people are not aware of. Sir Cliff actually spent 7 days in Sri Lanka. He arrived and we booked him. He stayed the first night at the cinnamon life. At that time, it's called France Asia in 2007. And then his manager said, what is he going to do 6 nights in Colombo? And then he said, look, I love to spend some time on the beach. So we took him down to Ahungal and he stayed at the Heritage Ahungal. And they've just reopened after the tsunami refurbishment. And he was given the suite, and in fact, it was so generous of him to have given permission to call that the particular suite the Sir Cliff Richard suite. And we also went there and had a fabulous dinner on the beach. They put a platform and they had drummers and fireworks, and he was fascinated. An amazingly nice person, very flexible. This is the interesting part. Now, we brought him to Colombo on the day of the event in the morning. The concert was at SLECC. His manager said, don't bring him in the morning, you bring him just for the sound checks. I accompanied Sir Cliff to SLECC at about 2:33 in the afternoon. He saw the venue and he said, I don't think I can sing tonight. I said, why? I have, this is not a sin, this is a warehouse. I have never performed in a warehouse. And I like to see, when I sing, I like to face the audience. And here, you have 10 rows facing the stage and the others are on the 2 sides. And I'm sorry, I don't think we can. I said, then his manager said, it's a sold out show. I don't think you can back out now. He said, and then he made an apology. And same thing happened when I brought down Daniel Donald. And he also felt the same. And we didn't even have proper changing rooms. So Cliff, of course, we built separate changing rooms, toilet facilities, the rest of it. And also, he has to have a special room. 1 hour before he starts to sing, he says his prayers and he does his exercising of his vocal cords for almost an hour. And we had a special room for that. And Daniel Donald, actually, we didn't have a proper changing room. Then we used the SLECC office as this changing room, and the manager's office was the air conditioner, and he gave that to Mary Duff. And he also apologized to the audience for coming and performing in a hall where there was no proper interaction. So what he did was he said, look, I'm going to get down and walk right around the place where people can get a good look at me and then I can shake hands with them, which he did. Sir Cliff, of course, didn't want to because, for safety reasons. Coming back to the point, we don't have proper venues for international artists to come and perform. Some artists don't like to perform outdoors. Indoors, we have very limited. Nilumpokuna, 1,400 capacity, BMSH, 1,600. You can't even break even unless you sell a ticket for 100,000 to 200,000. At that price, who's going to pay? So it's difficult. Sir Cliff Richard was a tremendous experience, yes. I wish Sri Lanka can see some of the... the thing is, it's like Ed Sheeran, he's very popular and he doesn't have a big crew. But he wants nearly $1.5 million to come and do a show. And can Sri Lanka afford $1.5 million? So I don't know. I have my doubts about us seeing any top artists.
Way down in the land of sunny Mexico, there's a fella I'm sure that you all know. Anytime within this troubled day, you're bound to hear his cry ring through the air. Andale arriba, andale arriba. In Spanish, this means I'm here. Andale, andale, andale arriba. One day last May, a tourist came to town, and very soon he started hanging round with the sweetest girl giving her the eye. And suddenly he heard this famous cry, andale arriba, andale arriba. In Spanish this means I'm here. Andale, andale, andale arriba. He hit the tourist with the speed of light, and next to no time he had won the fight. The last words he remembered before his flight were, "Senor, you're leaving Mexico tonight." Andale arriba, andale arriba. In Spanish this means I'm here. Andale, andale, andale arriba. So have you ever done in sunny Mexico? Enjoy yourself, but be careful how you go. And listen well to everything I say. 'Cause I was that tourist there one day last May. Andale arriba, andale arriba. In Spanish this means I'm here. Andale, andale, andale arriba. Andale, andale, andale arriba. Andale, andale, andale arriba.
We have reached the final chapter of our journey today with Damayantha Kuruppu. For this closing moment, DK has chosen a melody that resonates with the simple, honest warmth of the gentle giant Don Williams, the timeless classic, "You Are My Best Friend." But this rendition holds a special place in the Sri Lankan heart. It is a legendary duet featuring DK alongside one of our nation's most cherished voices, Mariazelle Gunatilaka. DK, your decision to dedicate this song today is an act of deep sincerity. It is a tribute to Mariazelle, to your family, and to your friends and listeners who have been the quiet pillars of strength behind your long and storied career. It is a reminder that while the spotlight often shines on one person, the journey is built by many. With a heart full of gratitude, DK, could you tell us what this song represents to you at this stage of your life? As we hear your voice harmonize with Mariazelle's, what is the message of respect and love you wish to leave with those who have truly been your best friends through every season of this incredible journey?
Mariazelle actually holds a very special place in my heart because she was the person who brought my band together, and also not only that, she actually gave me the technique of singing, how to hold your head and the neck, the phrasing and the rest of it. Right now she's unwell, and so I thought the ideal song for me to dedicate to Maria. Actually, we did a complete CD called Duets. We had Unforgettable, Don't Cry Johnny or whatever. So all duets, and Hey Good Looking. And also I like the song very much. It's a Don Williams original, but this version is a solo. This is a duet because I sang with Maria. And before she fell ill, actually at my 50th show, she sang Candela Mesa, and suddenly she, out of the blue, she called me, "DK, come and sing." I said, "What? You are my best friend." So we managed. So I like to dedicate this to Mariazelle. And of course, over the years, people who have been supporting me by being present at my shows and my sing-alongs and whatever. And of course, the listeners of SLBC. I think people who were listening to my program at the time, if they are still around, thank you for being part of the program. And also for people who are listening to this program, and also all others who have been fans of the SLBC, I'd like to dedicate this song to everyone. And thank you to you also for hosting this particular discussion. I hope I did well, and I expressed my inner feelings and gave everyone something that they have not heard from me before. And music and showbiz it's an art of communication, isn't it?
DK, to be very honest with you, time is not enough to capture 50 years of experiences. But from the first night at Navarangahala in 1975 to the golden anniversary we celebrated at the BMICH last year, your journey hasn't just been about producing shows, it's been about preserving the heartbeat of Sri Lankan music. You brought the world to our shows and kept the melodies of our legends alive when they might have otherwise faded into silence. for the 130 shows, for the tireless dedication to the golden era, and for being the bridge that connects our past to our future. We owe you a debt of gratitude. A titan of the industry, a guardian of our musical heritage, and a true friend to the arts, Mr. Damayantha Kuruppu, fondly known to us all as DK. Thank you for joining us today on Timeless Voices. It has been an absolute honor to have you with us in the studios, sharing your insight into the entertainment industry and reliving those 50 years of magic.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
The honor is entirely mine, and it is a privilege to help refine the narrative of such a storied career in broadcasting and promotion. I'm Ramesh Piris, signing off another edition of Timeless Voices. My sincere thanks goes out to our production team for their dedicated work behind the glass, and of course, thank you for joining us across the airwaves. Till next time, stay tuned to the station of the nation, Radio Sri Lanka. Keep the music in your heart and the memories alive.
Placed gold on my finger. You brought love like I've never known.
You gave life to our children, and to me a reason to go on.
You're my bread when I'm hungry. You're my shelter from troubled wind. You're my anchor in life's ocean. But most of all, you're my best friend. When I need hope and inspiration, you're always strong when I'm tired and weak.
I could search this whole world over, you'd still be everything that I need.
You're my bread when I'm hungry. You're my shelter from troubled wind. You're my anchor in life's ocean. But most of all, you're my best friend. You're my